In the real world, inheriting something means acquiring possession, condition, or trait from past generations. In this video, you will learn that inheritance also exists in JavaScript, and the inheritance model revolves around something called the prototype. You may also be familiar with the concept of a prototype, which is often referred to as an original model from which other forms are developed. In JavaScript, the prototype is an object that can hold properties to be shared by multiple other objects. And this is the basis of how inheritance works in JavaScript. This is why it's sometimes said that JavaScript implements a prototypal inheritance model. Let's explore this further now with some code examples to demonstrate inheritance and how to build a prototype. Consider the following object. I'm setting the var bird to an object that has three properties, each set to the boolean value of true. The properties are has wings, can fly, and has feathers. Using the readily available object create, I can construct new objects. For example, I've set the eagle1 variable to a call that takes the bird object and passes it to the object.create method. I can console log the contents of the eagle1 object now. Let's run the code. And notice an empty object logged to the console. However, since I used object create to instantiate the eagle1 object, I also have access to all the properties of the bird object. So, I console log eagle1 has wings and pass eagle1 dot has wings. And I also console log eagle1 can fly and pass eagle1 dot can fly. And finally, eagle1 has feathers, passing it eagle1 dot has feathers. Let's rerun the code. Once again, notice eagle1 has wings true, eagle1 can fly true, and eagle1 has feathers true, our output to the console. With the object create syntax, I can build as many objects as I want, and they will all have the bird object as their prototype. Here, notice that I've built an eagle2 object, and I've used the bird object as a prototype, because I ran the object.create method on it, and I save everything to the eagle2 variable. It's important to understand that the eagle2 object also has access to the properties stored on the bird object as its prototype. Let's run this code to confirm. And indeed, notice that eagle2 has wings true is output to the console. I can even add different objects with different behaviors. For example, I can add a penguin1 object. I do this by declaring a penguin1 variable and assigning the result of the object.create method to it. Penguins are flightless birds, so I want to set the canFly property to false. Thankfully, this is a relatively straightforward process because JavaScript starts from the object itself when looking for properties to work with. Then, if it can't find it on the object, it looks up to its prototype. It's important to remember that it doesn't look further if it finds the property on the immediate object. This makes for a simple mechanism for overriding inherited properties. So let's implement this now. First, I set the canFly property on the penguin1 object to false. And now I can console log the penguin1 object. Notice the output to the console after running the code is that penguin1 is an object with a canFly property set to false. Additionally, I can still access all the properties of the prototype. So accessing the has feathers and canFly properties of penguin1 will return the values that are stored on the prototype when I run the code. However, the canFly property is now set on the penguin1 object itself, so it overrides the canFly property on the prototype. This override only affects the penguin1 object. It doesn't change my prototype or other eagle objects. In this video, you learned about inheritance in JavaScript. Although it is possible to build inheritance using the object create method, it's probably better to use class syntax for more complex objects and inheritance. Although under the hood, this syntax still works with prototypes, it makes sense to use classes as they improve developer experience in more complex scenarios.